All of a sudden, there's a huge new push to establish a Palestinian state. This is by Michael Schneider on The Most Important News. Could we actually see a Palestinian state be established within the next year or two? Just this week, there have been some new developments that have been absolutely stunning. For the first time in ages, both the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Israel are openly calling for the creation of a Palestinian state. But just a couple of years ago, it seemed like such a move was extremely unlikely. Donald Trump was in the White House and Benjamin Netanyahu was the Prime Minister of Israel, and it was clear that the Palestinian state would not happen as long as either one of them was in power. Now they are both gone and everything has changed. This is extremely alarming because the creation of a Palestinian state is something that I have been warning about for years. When it actually happens, it will have enormous implications for the entire globe. During a major speech to the United Nations on Wednesday, Joe Biden told that world that the Palestinians are entitled, quote unquote, to their own state. President Joe Biden told the United Nations on Wednesday, the Palestinians are entitled to their own state, a day after the U.S. State Department announced $64 million in aid to the UN Agency for so-called Palestinian refugees. Quote, we will continue to advocate for a lasting negotiated peace between the Jewish and Democratic State of Israel and the Palestinian people, end quote, Biden said during his address at the UN General Assembly. He said the United States is committed to Israel's security, full stop, and a negotiated two-state solution remains our best way to ensure Israel's security and prosperity for the future and give the Palestinians the state to which they are entitled, he said. Of course, this is not the first time that Biden has said something like this. Back in July, he made similar comments during his visit to the West Bank. President Joe Biden reaffirmed his support for a two-state solution for Israelis and Palestinians during a visit to the West Bank on Friday, where he sat down with Palestinian leaders frustrated over lingering Trump-era policies. Quote, the Palestinian people, as well as Israeli people, deserve a state of their own that is independent, sovereign, viable, and contagious, he told reporters following a meeting with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. Two states for two people, both of whom have deep and ancient roots in this land, living side by side in peace and security, both states fully respecting the equal rights of the other citizens. The Biden administration is 100% committed to the creation of a Palestinian state, and that has been exceedingly clear for a long time. But up until just recently, Israel did not have a prime minister that was on board with such a move. Unfortunately, Yair Lapid is in charge now, and on Thursday he also called for the creation of a Palestinian state in front of the UN General Assembly. The future Palestinian state that will exist next to Israel must be peaceful and not terror-based, Prime Minister Yair Lapid told the UN General Assembly on Thursday afternoon, just before returning to Israel. If that condition is met, then the best path forward is, quote, an agreement with Palestinians based on two states for two people, end quote, Lapid said. This is the right thing for Israel's security, for Israel's economy, and for the future of our children, he said. Wow. We always suspected that this is how Lapid felt, and now he's being very open about it. During his speech, Lapid actually claimed that a large majority of the Israeli population agrees with him. He said, despite all the obstacles, still today a large majority of Israelis support the vision of this two-state solution. I am one of them. Put down your weapons and prove that Hamas and Islamic Jihad is not going to take over the Palestinian state you want to create, and there will be peace, Lapid said. Could that be true? I haven't seen any public opinion polls on the matter lately, but if most Israelis do want a Palestinian state at this point, that is a very troubling sign. It has always been assumed that a Palestinian state would be the product of a long negotiation between Israelis and the Palestinians, but now it is being suggested that Israel could ultimately decide to make a move unilaterally. In other words, one day Israel could just declare that the Palestinians now have a state in areas under their control. According to the Jerusalem Post, A source inside the Israeli government is saying that, quote, we will act on our own, unquote, if they feel that is the best option. Quote, if it is necessary and this is agreed upon by the Americans, we will act on our own, the source says. We do not have to update anyone and we do not need to ask permission from anyone, end quote. Wow. Thankfully, I don't think that Lapid's government will do anything major before the upcoming election in Israel. And it has become clear that this election will essentially be a referendum on a Palestinian state. If Yair Lapid wins the election, things could start to move very rapidly. Let's hope that does not happen because, as I detailed in Lost Prophecies, the consequences of establishing a Palestinian state would be cataclysmic. We must not be involved in dividing the land of Israel, but that is precisely what the Biden administration intends to do. Biden and his administration are just going to keep pushing the issue, and if Lapid is able to win the election, they will be absolutely thrilled. The election is scheduled for November 1st, and so it is just over a month away. It literally could be an election that changes the course of history, and so let us hope that Lapid does not win. And this is by Michael Schneider. He says, my name is Michael Schneider. My brand new book entitled 7-Year Apocalypse is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I have written 5 other books that are available on Amazon, including Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, Get Prepared Now, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one way that you can really help, is by sending digital copies as gifts through Amazon to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I have published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News, and the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article, and that's what I'm doing here now. And going back to this, the material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, on Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is a great help. These are such troubling times, and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to ask Jesus to be your Lord and Savior today. And this is by Michael Schneider on The Most Important News. I'll leave a link below for you. What do you think concerning this? I didn't even realize it, and they are going full force for a two-state solution. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.